The slide out and the leveling jacks of our RV are currently frozen in the position that they are in because I believe our hydraulic pump for both of them is shot. Here is what I hope to be is a replacement. I have a couple simple tools like screwdriver and hammer and things like that. We're gonna try and get the old pump out and put this new one in. From what I have found, it shouldn't take more than 30 minutes, maybe an hour, assuming this is the right pump. And I will link everything below that you need, including parts and tools, so you don't have to search for it as much as I did. The location of our pump is back here on the passenger side, back of the RV, next to the propane tank and down there. It'd be really nice if I had some jacks to pick up the RV so I could slide under it, but I don't, so we're gonna have to crawl on the ground a lot. Here's a better look at our pump, and here is the new one that I have. They look to be about the same size, and the ends are a little different, but I'm pretty sure that's the original pump that came with the RV. I couldn't find it anywhere except for on eBay for like $500. So we got some newer, hopefully replacement pumps, but we gotta get the old one out before we can see if this one fits. It looks like the only real fasteners or straps we have is a little belt strap here to keep the solenoid attached back here. And then we have our power cord, 12 volts coming in here. And then these two screws here that when I unscrew, it should slide right out. First thing I did here was disconnect the 12 volt power source to the pump here. Just use a little wrench to loosen up the nut on it and then twist it off by hand and push it up so it is out of the way. I then removed the mounting bolts using that same wrench, and these took a lot longer to unscrew than the power source did. If you want to save yourself a lot of struggle, something that I didn't do was remove the spare tire right above my hands here. Would have given me a lot more space, and I could have probably come in with a screwdriver or a drill to make it go a lot smoother. And then I just loosened up that belt clamp with the screwdriver and slid it off once it got loose enough, and the pump slides right off. Here is the motor comparison. New one, old one. They look pretty similar. My one concern is this one has a ground nut on it and this one doesn't. So we're gonna hook it up and see if it works. And if not, we'll try to attach a ground wire to it. And if that doesn't work, we'll order a new pump. Next thing I'm doing here is making sure the little knob here is turned to line up with the knob on here. I have them both pointing straight up, because that way, if I need to attach a ground bolt, it's at the top and my ground is up there. And measuring it out here, looks like it may fit. So we're gonna try it out. To install the pump, I just did the exact same steps, but in reverse. However, I did leave that belt clamp off because in case I need to take the pump off again, it would just be in the way. I started with putting in the mounting bolts here through the pump. I first tightened these by hand to make sure you don't cross thread it before putting a wrench on it to tighten them up. And same thing with the power cord here. Tighten it by hand first so you don't cross thread the bolt, and then use a wrench to snug it up. Now the next step is to use the jacks and pray that that is what was wrong with your slide out and it works. That wasn't the issue. So now we're gonna try putting a ground wire on it and see if that fixes it. Kind of a long shot I have is that the little knob on the end of it isn't hitting the little other knob that it needs to line up. So I think it may be because this one doesn't have any spacer nuts on it and this one does. So I'm gonna take it off, take those nuts off, put it back on, make sure everything's lined up, and then try it again. Here we are yet again, taking out the pump for what is now the second time. Same process as before, disconnect the power and then take out the mounting bolts. Here are the two nuts that are spacing the pump from getting too flush with the pump knob. I just took these off by hand, and for hopefully the last time, we are reinstalling the pump again. And make sure you're doing it just like me here, where you grab the wrong socket size. Every single time there is a different size bolt, it makes the process go really smoothly. Once the pump was installed, I used some jumper cables to ground the pump, and then we got this sound. Which means the pump is working. All right, well, that seemed to be the issue. Those spacers weren't fully touching that knob that runs the pump. I don't know the terminology on it. However, we do need a ground wire. When I was wiring it with just jumper cables from that ground spot to a spot on the frame, it was working. There is a ground bolt back there. So I'm gonna go get a wire and then just connect it, and then we should be all in the clear.